Now we're going to talk about entering the credential in Workforce One. WIOA requires VRS to capture credentials as it is one of the performance measures. People who have credential training and complete it need to have the credential captured in Workforce One. We do this when we were involved in helping the person obtain the credential. We do not enter credentials the person had before they applied for services. I'm going to navigate to Workforce One, and today we're going to be working with Ross Geller. And Ross recently presented to me a copy of his high school diploma from Eastview High School. This would be considered a credential, so to get it entered in Workforce One, we need to do a couple of things. The first thing we would want to do is we would want to make sure that that service was on the employment plan. So to do that, I would use my left navigation and I would click on Plan. And then I would click into the active employment plan. And when I'm looking at the plan, I want to be sure that the service is on the plan. So in this example, Obtain High School Diploma is listed on Ross's active employment plan. So the next thing I would want to do is I would want to upload the documentation of attainment into EDS, Electronic Document Storage, in Workforce One. So to do that, I again would use my left navigation, and under EDS, I would click on Add Document. When I do that, I'm going to populate the required fields. So the EDS document type for this situation is going to be VRS, Education and Training, and then I'm going to find the documentation that I've saved to my Scan to File folder. Now, the documentation could be a copy of the degree, diploma, certificate, or it could be a copy of a transcript showing attainment of the diploma, degree, certification, or certificate. So after I've selected the file, I'm going to select Next, and then I'm going to go ahead and populate the staff assigned, and then I'm going to populate the document name. From this list, I'm going to select Credential, and then you're going to notice the field for the user-defined document name. Now this field is not required, but I strongly encourage you to populate this as it will help you in identifying the document later on. So for this example, I would put Diploma from Eastview High School. And then I would scroll down the page and click Upload. Now when I use my left navigation and I go down to EDS and I click on Document Summary, you're going to see that the document that I uploaded is here, and if I click on the PDF icon, it will show me what has been uploaded. So now that I've verified the service is on the employment plan and I've uploaded the document to EDS, the next step would be to go to the credential section of Workforce One and enter the credential. Now I want to remind you that you would not enter a credential if you have not uploaded a document to EDS. So since I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and use my left navigation and I'm going to click on Credential. It's going to bring me to the credential summary page, and you're going to notice that currently there are no credentials for Ross. So in this example, I'm going to go ahead and click Add Credentials, and then I'm going to populate the required fields. Now, another thing that I just want to remind you of is that I'm showing you what is current in Workforce One as of today. So there are enhancements coming, so it's important that you watch for the email from Sherry Henriksen that lets you know when updates or changes have been made to Workforce One, because it's possible that changes are coming in regard to the screens that I'm showing you today. So when I'm on this credential summary page, I'm going to populate the required fields. So for the credential type, you're going to get a drop-down menu and you're going to see a lot of the different credentials that we've talked about today. In this example, because it's his high school diploma, that's the one I'm going to select from the drop-down menu. And then you'll notice the last required field is the actual attainment date. So remember, this is the date that the person obtained the credential credential. It's not the date that we receive the documentation of the credential. So if I go back and I look at the diploma from Eastview High School, it indicates that Ross graduated on March 2nd, 2018. So that is the date that I'm going to populate in Workforce One as the attainment date. And then the last part of this page is the comment box. So if there's any other information you want populated about the credential, you can enter that information here in the comment box. So the last thing to do is click Save. When I do that, it'll bring me back to the credential summary page showing that a high school diploma has been entered with an attainment date of March 2nd, 2018, and then you'll notice the yellow bar across the top with the little green check mark indicating that it was successful. So now what I want to show you is on the left navigation, if I go to Reporting Collection, it's going to bring me to the Reporting Collection Summary page, and on the right-hand side, if I click on Edit, and then I scroll down the page, there's going to be a section about the measurable skills. So as we've talked about, when we enter a credential, we earn a measurable skill gain. So when we enter a credential for a high school diploma or a GED, Workforce One automatically populates the measurable skill. So you'll see here under measurable skills, it says secondary diploma or equivalent with an attainment date of March 2nd, 2018. Right now in Workforce One, this information is only automatically populating for the high school diplomas and GEDs. So I want to talk about how we would manage this work if someone obtained, for example, their bachelor's degree. So I'm going to navigate back to the credential section of Workforce One, and let's say that we continue to work with Ross after he graduates from high school, and we've added the service to his plan to obtain a bachelor's degree. A bachelor's degree would be another credential. So I want to let you know about a nice case management tool that Workforce One has. It allows for us to put in a pending credential. So if I click on Add Credential here, and I populate the required fields, under the credential type, there is the option for Credential Pending. So what this would do is it would put in a pending credential, and then what we're looking to do is you would put in the date that is estimated that the person would obtain that credential, and then a few weeks before that estimated date, Workforce One would send you a tickler to remind you that there's a credential pending. So for this example, let's say 4 years from now, we think Ross is going to graduate from college with that bachelor's degree. So I'm going to put in an attainment date in the future here. And then I might put a note, bachelor's degree from, let's say, the University of Minnesota. And then I'm going to go ahead and click Save. So when I come back to this credential summary page, it'll show the pending credential. And like I said, one of the enhancements that we're looking to add to Workforce One is that it will generate a tickler to remind you to follow up on that credential. So we're going to fast forward 4 years, and we're going to say that Ross has contacted us and notified us that he has graduated from the University of Minnesota with a bachelor's degree. So in that situation, we would want to enter the credential, but before we enter the credential, we would make sure that that service was on his employment plan, and then we would make sure that we've uploaded the documentation showing that he had graduated from the university. So after we've done that, and then we've entered the credential, what we would do is we would go back to that reporting collection section of Workforce One. We would click on Edit, and then we would enter the measurable skill gain. Now, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the measurable skill gains because there are other things that we need to train you. I'm just specifically talking about measurable skills in regards to credentials. So if we had entered a credential to say Ross had earned his bachelor's degree, then we would come to the reporting collection section of Workforce One. We would click on Add New Measurable Skill. From the drop-down menu, we would select secondary or post-secondary transcript, and then we would put in that attainment date. So if he had graduated on May 7th, 2022, we would enter that date and we would have that documentation. And that's how you would enter the measurable skill gain for those other credentials that don't automatically populate in Workforce One. So that's been a review of entering the credentials in Workforce One. The last thing I want to show you is how you could find this video if you wanted to view it again. So if I go to SharePoint, on SharePoint towards the top, there's this link that says Help. When I click on Help, it'll bring me to this page, and there's a link that says click here for Workforce One resources. When I click on the link, it'll bring me to a page that has a whole bunch of Workforce One resources, but towards the bottom are the Workforce One video tutorials. And that is where you can find this video if you want to view it again in the future.